Of the three current gen consoles, I would say that the Nintendo Switch is my personal favorite, but the PlayStation 4 comes in at a very close second. It's a great piece of hardware that's equipped with a strong user interface, a comfortable controller, excellent audio-visual capabilities, and most importantly, a huge variety of quality games, particularly exclusives. It may be the first PlayStation I've ever owned, but it was well worth the money I invested into it. This is why, despite how much Microsoft is hyping up the Xbox Series X, I was much more excited for the reveal of the PlayStation 5. But now that I've seen yesterday's presentation, am I still excited? Full disclosure though, I was working while the live stream was going on, so I didn't get to watch it until about 6 or 7 hours later. By then, a few of the big announcements had already been spoiled for me on Twitter. But even so, I feel that there were a lot of good things to talk about. My biggest takeaway from all this is that Sony marketed the debut of their console pretty well, since there was never any inclination that this would be a definitive rundown of everything we needed to know about the console. The title of the video said this was about the future of gaming, and Sony never said that they would lay out specific details about the launch. That's why I wasn't upset that we didn't learn about pricing, a launch date, or what specific games would be available at launch, other than perhaps
Punch Snacks Game of the Year, baby!
Fresh! This was all about showing what the PlayStation 5 can do, and I really mean showing, because about 5% of the presentation was about the hardware itself, and the rest was focused on showing off the games. In my opinion, that was the perfect angle to take with this whole thing. Microsoft had pretty much made Sony's job easy by pissing off their fans with a misleading gameplay reveal presentation, so all Sony had to do was kick back, relax, and let their development partners do all the work. Moreover, I appreciated that Sony wasn't giving up on older franchises, while also giving some time for new IPs like this to step into the spotlight. I was pleasantly surprised that most of the games that they selected are more than just cynical products trying to be as realistic as possible, even though the sweat in the NBA 2K21 trailer was admittedly pretty impressive. These games boasted many different art styles and color schemes, which is crucial because high definition honestly looks best when it gets to show off a vast array of vibrant colors. Couple that with some stunning particle effects, immersive lighting engines, and models rendered with ray tracing, and yeah, I'm excited for what developers will be able to accomplish with this new technology. Among the new games shown in this presentation, here are the ones that stood out to me the most in alphabetical order. Deathloop. This game looks freaking ridiculous. Arcane Studios has carved out a serious name for themselves in the past decade with the Dishonored series and reimagining of Prey, while Deathloop looks to be continuing their tradition of inventive first-person combat. The key difference here is that the gunplay looks to be even more manic, stylish, and entertaining than ever before, while complemented by a fun premise. Consider me hyped for this one. Ghostwire Tokyo. I have to admit that I expected the gameplay to be something different based on the teaser trailer we got at E3 last year, but this still looks fun. The first-person combat is giving me plenty of Bioshock vibes, albeit that the supernatural and Japanese mythic elements make it interesting in its own way. If the developers patch up the character animations a bit before release, this could have a lot of potential. Kena, Bridge of Spirits. This part of the presentation was introduced by two brothers who said they belonged to a small indie studio called Ember Lab. Because of that intro, I was not expecting to see the gorgeous AAA quality vision of what they had to offer. Kena appeals very strongly to the Zelda, Pixar, and Studio Ghibli fan in me, so I'm very curious about this ambitious fantasy adventure game, especially if the end product winds up being as beautiful as advertised. Spider-Man! Despite how I keep hearing conflicting things about what this game will actually be like, it's shocking to me that we're getting another Spider-Man game from Insomniac this quickly, and on top of that, the player character is Miles Morales. This team did a really good job on the first game, so I'm very eager to see how this one turns out as well. Since Spider-Verse really got me excited about Miles as a character, the opportunity to play as him will be an exciting prospect unto itself. These 5 games interest me more than the others, but don't let that make you think that the rest of the games bored me. I will otherwise be invested in the success of Horizon Forbidden West, Resident Evil 8, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, the Demon's Souls remake, and the new Sackboy game, just to name a few. There was certainly something for everyone shown off here. And now for the console itself, which honestly, I think looks really sleek. Yeah, I enjoyed the memes as much as the next guy, but the design is quite nice. Who's to say if Sony is trying too hard to differentiate their 5th PlayStation from all the past consoles though? After all, the original PS3 had a curved design, but it was certainly much different from this one. My main issue is that I like laying my consoles down on a flat surface, and please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong for assuming this, but the PS5 just doesn't look like it's conducive for laying down on its side to me. That could later change as Sony reveals more about the console in the coming months, But for now, I've only seen it facing up, as you see here, so I would assume that the ideal way to mount it is like such. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest. That being said, the design of the console is nice, and I have warmed up to the DualSense controller too. It looks comfortable and full of functionality, and that's ultimately what matters for an advanced controller like this. In the end, I thought this was an excellent presentation. We might not have gotten to see every game we might want from something like this, but the glimpses we did get at titles we were, and unaware of, were mostly solid. What matters here is that Sony gave off a solid first impression. After all, the specific details about launch can understandably wait since the pandemic has caused a lot of disruption to the gaming industry. As of right now, I don't think this would be something I'd pick up on day one. Maybe I'll make a purchase in 2021 once the console has a firmer footing and some more exclusives under its belt. But otherwise, consider me impressed. I'll be looking forward to hearing more about this promising console when the time comes.
PlayStation